Alrighty, Matt, actually, let me just make sure, get us to this point here. All right, so we are going to be comparing your mechanics to Jacob deGrom's here and seeing the similarities and differences in that, and specifically work on from here. So I'm going to play it here in real time, and I'm just going to show you how similar they are. So, human eye, right? Human eye, very, very similar, right? Let's start from the very beginning. Here, both bring the glove up. And this is why you're an accelerator, Matt. Notice, so a driver, whenever they are going, they are keeping all their weight onto this, right? They stay in place there and are building their weight and hinging. You start to go forward as soon as you lift that leg up, right? So that's what makes you an accelerator, okay? So that's why you're an accelerator. Now let's get to the fun part of what to improve. So very similar, very, very similar. Then we get to this drive. Notice the similarity here. And then we get to this angle right here. Okay, so this right there is initial block, okay? That's initial block. Here is what we need to work on. Because honestly, and then we get to full block here. This is amazing, all right, Matt? I just want you to understand how good this is. You are still close. Like, look up Jacob deGrom, right? This is when he's in full. So take a mental note of that. Full block, identical. That is perfect. And look at this stride too. Look at this stride. That is a very, very good stride. So a couple things that I'm noticing already. So first things first, watch Jacob deGrom's arm. Notice it's in this 90-degree window, okay? Yours is there, and then so it's there for a second and then goes into this 45 degrees. So that's 90 degrees, and your arm is right there. So we need to work on the 90-degree window. So if you ever hear me say 90-degree window, this is exactly what I mean. Our arm should not be, it should either be in that 90 degree or outside here of that 90 degree. And then talking about in terms of, so just imagine like this is you as a pitcher. You shouldn't be, so this is you. This is like if that line is facing me right now, it shouldn't be above 45 degrees like that, which I'll go into next lesson and explain it just a little bit better. It's very hard on video to show it, but yeah. So that's the first thing that I really want to work on, because other than that, it's perfect. But think about this initial impact, okay? So initial impact is heel strike, right? Watch Jacob deGrom's, right? So Jacob deGrom, his initial is more so like the middle of his foot, if anything, right? It's looking like he's gonna... Actually, I wonder if I could get... Actually, let me see if I get this. I can't get it. Anyways, but for Jacob deGrom, I wish it would show a little bit more. His initial strike is more so, it's not directly on the heel. Like, look at this, all right? So there's your initial strike. Yours is directly on the heel. And while Jacob deGrom's is similar to that of the heel, watch like when he comes down, he's not putting much weight on that heel. It's kind of just his placement, right? Look at yours. Watch the knee. I'll clear this so you can watch your knee. There's a lot of impact that's going on when we get to that knee. So, with that being said, I want us to focus on this ball of the foot landing because, again, if we over-exaggerate something, the theory is, obviously we're not going to over-exaggerate in a game, but that's going to make us more so, we're going to finish more so probably in the middle of this foot here, okay? So that's the two things. But if we're talking about from our setup to leg kick to drive to there, flawless, Matt. And I will give you credit for this because out of all the pitchers I've trained, this is the first pitcher I've trained that does it perfect. Absolutely perfect. This is textbook here. If I were to show any kid exactly what to do for hip-shoulder separation, this is exactly what I mean. And you nailed it here with this. Nailed it. Now, here is where it gets a little bit interesting, okay? So, get to here, really good layback. Perfect there, perfect there, perfect there. Now I just want you to see at this point. So you get perfect here, perfect layback. You start it right, your head, that's perfect. Your shoulder goes forward. Really good there. Now here's the problem, okay? Look at Jacob deGrom's drag. So watch just his drag. There, and already, as soon as he's in foot strike, his toe comes immediately off the ground. Watch yours. So you make initial foot strike, you make full block at 2.985. Your foot doesn't come off the ground until 3.255. So you were holding that, you were holding this back foot off the drag for about 0.3 of a second. And you're probably like, well, Max, what's the point? Why is that important? And I'll explain why it's important. Watch Jacob deGrom's finish, right? Gets to here. Look how in front his leg is to his body, right? When he finishes, right? Then he brings it up, and that's when he's like this, right? That's when his foot is barely outside. Then we look at your finish here, right? Look at the difference. So that's where, sorry, wrong thing. This is where you're finishing on that, right? And then, so just keep that in mind, mental note there. And when Jacob deGrom goes through his delivery and finishes, look how much room there is between his head and foot, right? Think of it again kind of like a catapult. And when we were talking about momentum today, when we were talking about transfer energy, this is exactly what I mean by that, okay? Because and exactly what I was talking about when we were doing the drill with the medicine ball is see what I mean by you're staying up. So think about this. You're coming down. So let's just kind of track your movement here. So you start here, then come down to here, and then at the very end, actually not doing as much as I thought you were. Okay, so disregard. So I stand corrected on that point. So we get to here, right? And we kind of stop ourselves here. We kind of stop ourselves here, all right? And what I mean by we stop ourselves, if I were to say like, for example, right? Let's look at Jacob deGrom again. Here, if there is a wall below, like above, well, just right in front of his front foot, he's got a lot of room to work with because of how much, number one, he gets down the mound, but number two, he's also not putting as much weight on that initial strike as you are, which allows him to have more stride and have a better recoil here like that. Granted, I understand this camera is moving. So if we were to say right there, that's where he kind of gets to the wall right there. Yeah, right there. Versus if that's our wall, right, we're kind of are starting to stop ourselves at that point, if that makes any sense. And the reason why that's important, like I was saying, is because it's a full transfer of energy, right? Think about it in terms of like a test grade, right? If you start at 100 here, right, and every small little tick takes off a little bit of velocity, right, and we get to here, because, again, you have it absolutely perfect up to, I would say, this point. Because I would love for, and you've done a terrific job over time of starting to get this chest to work down over your front knee. I still think we can get it more because you get to there and then you kind of stop yourself from going forward. You're starting to bring yourself to go forward because, okay, this is better. This is a better explanation of what I was trying to get at just a minute ago. So with the whole door thing, okay? Jacob deGrom continues to go forward, right? He doesn't stop himself from going forward until he finishes, and that's where he has his little recoil. You, on the other hand, what you do is you kind of stop yourself right there. That's your stopping point right there. Right after you throw the ball. Right after. And that's what it looks like on camera, but theoretically speaking, your body is slowing down even before that. So I'd like for you in this point to continue to bring this chest forward because I think we got something to work with there. And then also, how I'm going to wrap it up is look at the back leg between you and deGrom. So deGrom, watch his back leg. No, it's not a great example, or it's not really a great angle to begin with. But even though he's not full kicking it up, it's kind of spring-loaded, if you could tell what I mean by that, right? It's spring-loaded. He's not really coming around. That was actually hang on. Let me change the color on this. He's not really coming around like that, right? It's more so going, so it's there up, right? Yours, as we could tell, is because of this recoil, it's not kicking up, and instead you're having to go out and around. So that's what you're doing currently. So, to recap everything specifically, perfect. We get to here, we can work on this 90-degree window just a little bit there. From there, not putting as much weight there on that initial strike. Trying to get it more so the initial strike is more at the front end of your heel rather than the back end. And then from there, taking your chest to keep going forward rather than this recoil stop here. And more like how Jacob deGrom's is where he keeps going, and then he stops there. And then making sure this back leg kicks up and doesn't drag for as long back here. If you have any questions, please let me know. But other than that, Matt, I'm actually extremely impressed looking at this on video. If you were to go look at your mechanics from day one of working to now, they are, number one, a lot more sound. But number two, they just look a lot better. So looking forward to keep working hard this offseason. Keep it up, dude. Very proud of you and the progress you've made so far.